Thank you. So today I'm going to give a talk on hybrid hydrodynamic attractors, bottom-up thermalization and more. The talk has been arranged in the way. First, we'll give a very brief discussion on hydrodynamic attractors, which will be later talked about by Michael Strickland. Then we will talk about semi-holographic approach. And before going to the details of the work, we will give a essence of what we are actually working on and what are our results, key results. And then we'll give a brief idea about metric coupling, and then my hybrid attractor, and followed by result and summary. So as it has been already discussed by Soren in a very good way, that we can see the time evolution of matter in heavy ion collision. So what we are mainly interested in working is the QGP stage. So QGP is formed in one of the intermediate stage, which behaves as a perfect fluid with low ratio of shear viscosity to entropy density. Experimentally, it has been shown that the low momentum hadron has a collective behavior, and this collective behavior can be successfully described by the effective theory of hydrodynamics. Now, the in degrees of freedom of relativistic hydrodynamics are energy density and the 4 velocity, and the constitutive relation is a function of the degrees of freedom and their gradients. If we truncate the gradient expansion and consider this first order viscous hydrodynamics, which includes the the ideal part and the first order gradient, then we see that the equation of motion is not hyperbolic type, and thus it is not a well-defined initial value problem. Further, this can be very easily visible if we consider the dispersion relation, where the linear perturbation above the equilibrium propagates in a, it's not bounded actually, it's unbounded, and thus it violates causality. So in order to have a causal and consistent effective theory, we consider resummation of hydrodynamic expansion to all orders in derivative. And this one of the way of approaching this is the Muller-Israel-Stewart mechanism, where we promote this shear stress tensor pi mu nu to be an identical independent dynamical variable, and this gives us a relaxation time equation as given by 1, where my tau pi is my relaxation time. Okay, now the use of this type theory state that my propagation of linear perturbation now becomes finite even at k tends to infinity, and this is valid till my relaxation time is greater than my 2 eta by s, that is my shear viscosity to entropy ratio. Also, we can recover the Navier-Stokes equation once we consider this tau pi tends to 0. Okay, so in order to have a causal theory, we incorporate this non-hydrodynamic damping modes in the relativistic theory. And we saw the relaxation mechanism is the key to the emergence of hydrodynamic attractors. And attractors can be obtained numerically by resumming hydrodynamics, expansion via trans-series, and also other approaches. Attractor is well behaved at the arbitrarily early times, and as we hello, am I audible still?
Yes.
Yes, you are
Okay.
audible.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So okay, so if we Heller and Spalensky in the following paper have strongly motivated the evidence of hydrodynamics as a universal attractor. So if the plots taken from the paper shows that the magenta line is my numerically obtained attractor solution for both the cases, and these blue lines are my numerical solution for other initial condition which evolves towards the attractor. And the green and the red line, green one is the second order hydrodynamics and red is the first order hydrodynamics. Okay, so this one is the strongly coupled system, the left figure A, whose parameters are taken according to n equals to 4 super Youngman's theory, and the right one is my weakly coupled system, which parameters are taken thrice of my strongly coupled system. And what we see is that the time taken by the weak system to evolve towards the attractor is more than that of the time taken by the strong system. And also the truncated gradient expansion evolves towards the attractor with time. Now, thus the hydrodynamic attractor establishes the applicability of the hydrodynamics far from the equilibrium, and also it adds more precise meaning to the hydrodynamization of the system. Apart from this, if we consider an attractor from ADS CFT, we see that Like from MIS theory, these initial conditions are monotonically decaying to the attractor solution. But if we consider the Arias-Safety case, then the initial conditions are oscillatory in nature, and they slowly decays again to the attractor with my this third order. Over here they have also considered third order hydrodynamics. So third order hydrodynamics, this green magenta with first order, and the second order hydrodynamics, all the truncated gradient expansion also evolves towards the attractor, which is given by my this orange curve. So okay, now what we are interested in is actually taking a semi-holographic approach to the method of getting an attractor. But why are we interested in that? So we know that QCD is characterized by asymptotic freedom, running coupling, and heavy-ion collision gives us an opportunity to enrich the understanding of QCD. To some extent, my perturbative QCD and kinetic theory can describe these hard sectors or hard quasi-particles, but the soft clones which are formed exhibit strong coupling, and we need a non-perturbative description for that. Okay, so one way, like we have to find a way by which we can, the theory by which we can incorporate both this perturbative and non-perturbative degrees of freedom consistently in one framework. And one beautiful way is that my semi-holographic approach. This semi-holographic approach has been already applied to study out of equilibrium dynamics in heavy-ion collision by Mukhopadhyay and Iancu. So the main question over here is to have a theory that can develop, from where we can develop an effective description of a full hybrid system from the post-grain description of my weakly coupled, perturbative, and the strongly coupled degrees of freedom. Now, so like how to couple both the perturbative and non-perturbative degrees of freedom, then that is my question, like that is the concern at this point. So one of the way by which we can do this is democratic coupling, which will be taught by Ayan Mukhopadhyay in more details in later in the conference. And it has been shown that this democratic coupling is consistent with the principle of thermodynamics, statistical mechanics, and Wilson renormalization, group RG flow. Okay. So okay, so before actually going to the details of the talk and getting lost over there, let's get a very brief idea about what is the essence of the talk. So like the main idea is to couple two fluid which has been characterized by MIS mechanism of and having degrees of freedom or of different degrees of freedom, that is one is perturbative and another non-perturbative, in a democratic manner, and then to study the composite system, which turns out to be an attractor, hydrodynamic attractor. And also another point is that though our model is very simple, still we get an reminiscent, there is a reminiscent of bottom-up thermalization, which is universal for our model. Also, the attractor we obtained is a 2D, two-dimensional attractor hypersurface, and this attractor is really well behaved at the early time. Now, the full system we obtained behaves as a single fluid, though my subsystems do not equilibrate locally with each other at late time. And one more thing, like one more feature that came out, or we can we can use it in insight into small and large system, is that my stronger, okay, the hydrodynamization ratio depends on some extra factor from where we can put an insight into this small and large system. But also, apart from getting some key features of all these key features from our model, there are some caveats, and those are like this model has been applied in the toy model of semi-holographic plasma, where democratic coupling of kinetic sector with dynamical black hole exhibits irreversible energy transfer to the soft sector over a large time. But our drastically simplified two-fluid model, there is no such universal way of energy transfer. So what we can say is that our model captures certain aspect of real QCD as well as that of semi-holography. In order to have a in order to have a evolution more specific to semi-holographic, one can couple two MIS. Like in place of coupling two MIS, one can couple one black hole with a kinetic theory. Okay, so okay, next is like the coupling that we're talking about, the metric coupling. How it's a brief idea of how to couple to system and what is the method we are using here. So okay, Now suppose we have consider a full system F, which is composed of two subsystems W and S. My full system F depends on lives on a physical background metric G mu nu B, and my subsystems lives in their individual effective metric G mu nu tilde, which has been like this color code has been followed for rest of the talk. For W it's blue, and for S is like G mu nu tilde, like my magenta. Now, how the two systems interact is via the energy momentum tensor, and this is done by simply deforming our metric tensor. So basically the two systems interacts by promoting effective metric of each sector as a functional of the operator of the other sector. Now the subsystems are close with respect to their individual metric, that is the word identities are satisfied with respect to individual metrics, but can exchange energy and momentum defined with respect to my background metric. Now, the lowest order coupling explicitly is given in the this form by 2, where we see that there are two coupling constant gamma and gamma tilde, which has a dimension of mass 4 and the mass dimension -4. And for causality and UV completeness of the theory, my gamma has to be greater than 0, and R, which is my ratio of gamma tilde by gamma, has to be greater than 1. Okay, now, so what is the advantage of this kind of coupling is that we don't use any microscopic description of the subsystem. As we can see that the metric coupling is simply my function of energy momentum tensor of the complementary systems. And this effective metric encodes the interaction between the two systems. Also, my coupling satisfies the word identities of the individual sector, and also and ensures the conservation of full system energy momentum tensor in the physical background. Now, and one more thing is that the full dynamics can be obtained simply by solving the subsystem in a self-consistent way. So the energy momentum tensor of the full dynamics is simply the polynomial degrees of my individual individual energy momentum tensor T mu nu and T mu nu tildes, and this delta K term is the interaction term. The interaction energy or the interaction energy between the two systems, how the two systems interacts with one another, is encoded in this delta K term. And my dimensionful coupling gamma enters through this interaction energy term actually. Okay. Now the point is using this metric coupling, two fluid in the hybrid fluid model analogous to the semi-holographic description has been already studied in the thermal equilibrium. What we did is just the extension of this model to study the non-equilibrium evolution of viscous hybrid model in the boost invariant Jorkin flow. So in boost Jorkin flow, our background metric is simply the flat Milne metric -111 tau square, where my tau is my proper time and zeta is the rapidity, space-time rapidity. And my individual metrics, G mu and G mu nu tildes are function of these components are function of scalar functions of my proper time tau. So, okay. Now this fluid sector, as mentioned earlier, is characterized by a relaxation mechanism, and my energy momentum tensor ansatz is as seen in 5. This will be same for my other system also. And for simplicity we have considered the subsystems to be conformal. But because of the presence of a dimensionful coupling constant gamma, my full system is not conformal as it doesn't have a non-vanishing trace. Okay. Now we get 4 partial differential equations, 2 from each of the system. One is the conservation equation of motion, and a conservation equation, and another is the MIS equation as shown in the initial slides. Okay. Therefore, there exists a 4-dimensional phase space which is spanned by the dynamical variable energy densities of the two systems and my phi's and phi tilde of the two systems. Also, we introduce a dimensionless variable, which we will show later is the measure of anisotropy for our model. It's chi, and it's phi by epsilon plus p. Now, so we want to couple 2 degrees of freedom, perturbative and non-perturbative. So we parameterize our subsystem with different shear viscosity eta and relaxation time tau pi to behave as a strongly coupled and less strongly coupled system. The choice of parameter is such that my sigma sigma tilde will lie between 1 by root 2, where this sigma and sigma tildes are simply my attractor initial condition, the values of chi at early time when tau tends to 0. So now with all this information, we couple couple the two sectors via metric coupling, and we see that there comes out to be a common attractor. Okay, now like how we get the attractor curve. So we initially fix the energy densities of the two subsystems at some reference time, non-zero reference time tau naught, and then run this chi and chi tilde and fine tune this chi and chi tilde and run the solution backward and forward in time. So this figure shows a numerically determined attractor solution at some early time, which shows that as we go back from our reference time, my my chi goes to a constant value of sigma, which is constant value sigma, and chi tilde goes to a constant value sigma tilde. So if we plot all the attractors of all the three systems, what we get is that the okay. So the blue system is my less viscous system, this one, and my red one is a more viscous system, and my full system is this orange one, where this thick lines corresponds to the attractor solution obtained numerically, and these thin lines shows that these thin lines are the neighboring trajectories, and we see that these thin lines actually, the thin lines which are trajectories which are above the attractor curve will diverges at early time, whereas these lines which are below the attractor curve will go to some negative value of, will go to the negative value of chi in the early time. And basically these are the disperser, this shows kind of disperser behavior. And okay, now okay, the attractor curve we get, the attractor surface we get is a two-dimensional hypersurface, and they are parameterized by our dimensionless energy densities of the subsystem. Okay. Also, my attractor surface depends on the value of R, which is the ratio of my coupling constant. And for our case, we have considered R equals to 2 to see the crossover behavior of the attractor. And this crossover behavior has been studied like in details in the paper, mentioned paper, where they have also studied also noticed that the fluid system exhibit first order transition when when the R is closer to 1. Fine. So now, okay, with all this, now the point is like what we find is that remarkably is that my full system can be described by a standard hydrodynamic expansion, even though the two components of the full system do not equilibrate locally with each other at late time. And the shear viscosity is given in terms of tau, like the shear viscosity is a function of both of shear viscosities of the individual system and the energy densities. Also, the energy density of the full system can be written as an hydrodynamic expansion, which resembles my single fluid, like hydrodynamic, my basic hydrodynamic expansion. And thus we say that the full system behaves as a single fluid at late time. Now, if we plot the interaction energy, how the two systems are interacting, then what we see is that my interaction energy slowly increases and then decays rapidly off this in the like in the crossover region. And also at this region, my two system along with the full system behaves as a perfect fluid. Also, if we plot the effective effective shear viscosity, what we see that there is a dip near this crossover region, which can be like somehow which resembles to the hadron gas-like transition, Okay, so but like okay. Now if we now if we look at the energy densities from the physical background perspective, what we see is that my in the initial stage, my energy density is concentrated in the weakly coupled system, that is this represented by this red line, and slowly with time the energy is redistributed to my less viscous system, that is my soft degrees of freedom. But again, after a point of time, like a large fraction of energy gets redistributed to the weak system, that is my weak system gets again dominated in energy. Okay, so in energy, now this part where in the early time where my energy is concentrated to the weakly coupled system, what we see is that this can be thought of a reminiscent of my bottom of thermalization. That is, evolution starts with the total energy density concentrated to the weakly coupled sector and then gets redistributed to the strongly coupled sector of soft degrees of freedom. Okay, and okay, and okay, now if we if we go far away from the early time, the differential equations, four differential equations and the nonlinear algebraic equation, the coupling equation which have been shown in the metric coupling slides, can be only solved numerically, so we cannot have any analytical solution for them still now. Okay, now if we this this green dotted lines are the interaction energy, and this further dotted blue lines are the blue, orange, and this red lines are the first order hydrodynamics. This is a matching to the first order hydrodynamics, actually that will come later. Now, okay, if we plot the anisotropy also, what we see that for the two subsystem, the decrease in the anisotropy is kind of monotonous. But if we consider the full system, the orange one, the anisotropy interpolates between the full system, interpolates between the two subsystem, the more viscous system and the less viscous system, and in a complicated manner, or rather in a non-linear way. Okay. Now, these are the first order of this dotted are the first order hydrodynamic matching and the dash are the second order hydrodynamics. So if we see if we want to see how the system hydrodynamizes, then what we find is that uh, my hydrodynamization time for my hard sector is longer than that of my soft sector. And also the ratio of hydrodynamization time somehow depends on the initial condition, which can give us some insight in the small and large system hydrodynamization scenario. So it is much more clear from the table, where we have shown that my different values of the total energy epsilon, tau hd is my hydrodynamization time for my weak system and tilde for my strong system. This wh is the dimensionless quantities, dimensionless quantities, which has been defined in this way: epsilon 1 epsilon by t tau, actually basically, and this chi hd my gives the anisotropy. Actually 6 times of chi will be my anisotropy A. Okay, now what we see is that if we decrease the energy, if we increase the energy, total energy, then my hydrodynamization time is simply what it should be. Like it is for weak system, it is more than that of my strong system, and my anisotropy is more for the weak system than for the it's more in the weak system than in the strong system. But my hydrodynamization ratio is small, it decreases. And on the other hand, if we increase the energy, total energy at some reference point for both the cases, like some tau equals to tau hydrodynamization time at that time, then my ratio of hydrodynamization time further increases. Okay, it all increases to a large value. And also this dimensionless quantity W, which scale as 4 pi eta by S, shows that there is still interaction between the weak system and the strong system, because the weak system still haven't hydrodynamized yet. Okay, now now this is like I came to the end of the talk, where we will sum up and we will talk about the takeaways. It's like we know that hydrodynamic expansion resume to all orders in gradient expansion generates causal evolution for any arbitrary initial condition. But the democratic coupling allows to work without the information of the action principle of the subsystem. The hybrid fluid model is an interesting model where we can couple two MIS equations and study the non-equilibrium dynamics of the system, from where we get a two-dimensional, like coupling two system, we get a two-dimensional attractor hypersurface in a four-dimensional phase space. Okay, and the most important, though our model is a toy model, which is not toy model, but the key features that we get from this is that our model provides a universal feature of bottom-up thermalization, provided this condition is satisfied, and the full system can be described hydrodynamically at late times, and the transport coefficient of the full system actually is determined by the attractor curve followed by the system, like which attractor curve my system will follow. So somehow it depends on the initial condition. And the dependence of hydrodynamization ratio on an extra parameter may account for different hydrodynamization scenario in small and large system produced in heavy ion collision. So okay. So the point is our model is successful in capturing certain aspect of heavy ion collision, but not all. And this model is more open to further generalization, like study of first order transition for R less than 1. And also like if we couple two non-conformal fluid, how will the model evolve or get extended and such things. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Toshali, for the nice talk. And if anyone would like to ask questions, please raise hand or please type them in the chat box. So I didn't notice any questions in the chat box. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there is a question by Mike. So is there any way to make the framework more quantitatively in agreement with QCD?
Okay, so
yeah, so I mean, we heard a nice talk by Soren. He was telling us how, you know, we can have some early time model of thermalization in the bottom-up scenario, and you pointed out to us that there were sort of features of bottom-up scenario contained within your hybrid model. What would be interesting would be, you know, if we tried to make an apples-to-apples comparison between the hydro attractors somehow, but that would require tuning some parameters or maybe improvements to the theory. I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
I haven't given it a thought, but I think it is possible to do that. Like over here, we have considered only the macroscopic description of the system, but we can implement the like if we consider the microscopic constituent also, then I think we can do that. The metric to be that at least the metric to be a function of the microscopic descriptions.
Yeah, so Mike, kind of a short answer could be that indeed you can consider more sophisticated models instead of MIS, like real PQCD kinetic theory and more realistic holographic QCD-like approaches together and couple them. And in this case, of course, the attractor will be much more complicated than what has been shown here. And furthermore, the attractor is not even capturing the real one essential feature of semi-holographic approach, which has irreversible energy transfer from the weak sector from the weak sector to the soft sector. That happens because of the growing black hole. In the MIS system, there is no such irreversible transfer mechanism. So all this put together would perhaps give a more realistic thing, but that's kind of far away.
All right, I'm just trying to ask what was the plan for the future in a roundabout way, I guess.
Yeah, that's where we want to go, yes.
Yeah, there's a second question by Ashutosh. So what are these two subsystems in relation to heavy ion collisions?
Sorry, I didn't get your question. I mean, what do you mean by in relation to heavy ion collision? So one is
Toshali, yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask you had two systems, right? Two subsystem, and you have a big ladder subsystem. So in heavy ion collision, in context to that, if you make, so what do you mean by that? I mean, in this generic attractor, can we relate it phenomenologically to anything? Say in.
So okay, so the point is like the two subsystems we are considering is like one we are considering to be weakly coupled, like whose parameterization has been considered with like by keeping in mind the kinetic theory, and the other is we are considering the strongly coupled system, so whose parameterization is done in by considering my n equals to 4 super Yang-Mills theory. So yeah, we can go to the phenomenological approach. Like
no, I think the question is about real heavy ion collision. So yeah, it's we don't have a good answer. I mean, one way to think about it is that the weak coupling system is a UV degrees of freedom, which are asymptotically, which should experience asymptotic freedom, and the soft system is essentially a strongly coupled, which we are mimicking by n is equal to 4 super Yang-Mills. But we don't have actually a real black hole or a real kinetic theory, but only 2 MIs. So it is somewhat loosely characterizing.
So usually
in a toy way,
ion in the heavy ion collision, this weak coupling to strong coupling, that is a function of time, is it? Because it goes from the perturbative scattering and then
not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay, that is also reflected by this process, because if you have if you couple kinetic theory to a black hole, eventually black hole will suck up everything, and eventually you will have only soft things left. But the point is that intermediate time scales you have both, and we would like to understand the transition from one to another. So one way to do it would be that you do entirely perturbative approach in the beginning and then switch over to some non-perturbative approach. But a better way could be that you combine both and have it in a single framework. So what we are doing is the second one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if you have any further questions, please feel free to type in the chat box so one can have discussions and Toshali can answer it. So thanks Toshali again for the talk.